I finished my Mandalorian pistol. Really, I finished 2 of them. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did to turn a piece of plastic into this. Plus, I'll show you the real world gun that inspired this one. Today on Darth Rage Reviews.
Evacuate? In our moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances.
Greetings, Force fans, and welcome to another episode of Darth Rage Reviews, your source for the Force. If you would be so kind, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, guys. Hit the notification bell. You want to know when I'm dropping videos, because I do drop videos all the time, and I would appreciate a subscription. I promise it will pay off. Completely free. If you like Star Wars content, cosplay, costumes, lightsabers, all that junk, this is the place that you need to be. All right, business out of the way, guys. We're talking Mandalorian. So if you haven't noticed, pulled the Mandalorian cosplay off of the mannequin. That's because I'm getting really close, guys, to finishing this piece. And one of the pieces that I had in the process was the Mandalorian Pistol. So this was a 3D print from my good buddy Elvis at the Bluesbro. He sent me 2 of them because the first one he printed one at 100%, felt it was a little small. I actually think this is the correct size for it, and I think this is the one that I'm going to keep. But then he printed one a little bigger just in case. So I finished them both off, and I'm going to send one of them right back to him. So Elvis, you're going to have a present coming your way. And I want to show you guys how I did this, and that'll come up in a minute. But first, I want to show you the real-world inspiration for this gun. So one of the cool things, and one of the things I feel with the original trilogy that made it feel so real was that a lot of the props were real-world items. You know, the Graflex lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber was, or sorry, Anakin's lightsaber that was given to Luke, was a Graflex flash handle for a camera. Han's pistol was based off of a pistol, and they just kind of added parts to it, and the same thing was done for this. So for this one, they took a Bergman 1894, and I'm going to put a picture of it up here, and you can see this is the same gun. They've adjusted the bottom of it here, you know, the base of the handle, added a flare, you know, here on the end, but it's ultimately, took there's something there, and they took that out and just replaced it, but this is the same gun. And this, I know it's a little thing, but this is, to me, why I know that Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, they get it. They get it because they, rather than create some brand new fancy schmancy thing, they did what they did back in the 70s, and they just took a real-world gun and applied this to it. So thought that was a little cool fact, fun fact for you. That one's free, guys. That one's on the house. So Bergman 1894 was the basis for the Mandalorian's pistol. So here we have, and I guess I'll just show you this. Well, I'll show you both of them, because then you can see both sides at once. So we have the Mandalorian pistol. This took me a couple days to finish. It was a really good print from Elvis. I do appreciate that. So I will take you guys through the process of what it takes. And you know, ultimately, I say a couple days, but that's just because you're waiting for paint to dry. Mainly waiting for paint to dry. A lot of waiting for paint to dry. The process itself of the sanding and the painting and all of that's probably, all told, maybe an hour, hour and a half, but it's spread out over a couple days because you've got to take breaks to let paint dry. That's the story of my life right now, letting paint dry. I think that's the 5th time I've said that. I don't know who's keeping count, but letting paint dry, it bothers me. But you got to do it. So how do you go from a piece of plastic to what is ultimately a mostly realistic looking firearm? Well, I'm going to show you right here, guys. So we're going to go ahead and roll that beautiful footage. So like any build, you're always going to start with sanding, lots of sanding. So this I had to sand to get where the really hard 3D print lines were. It took a little bit of time, and then I started with the first layer of filler primer. So filler primer, It is really your friend on 3D prints because it helps fill all of those print lines. In this case, I really only had to do this process, I think twice, maybe 3 times of filling, sanding, filling. And, you know, each time you're going to have less and less lines. And each time I end up kind of moving up on the sandpaper. So, you know, start with 100 before the filler primer, then maybe go to a 220. Do that a couple times, move up to a 400. On this case, I don't think I went higher than a 400. I really didn't feel like I had to go higher than a 400. But again, sanding, sanding, and sanding. So you don't want to skimp on this process, because if you cannot get rid of whatever imperfection that is, at this point, you're not going to cover it up with paint. So you really want to make sure that you get this done right. So again, got that done, and then it was a coat of matte black on top of everything. I think I had to do this twice. You know, you don't ever want to paint a whole lot on there, so I did it in light layers. Then I taped off the black areas, painted the handle brown, and then I painted the small chrome point on the tip of the gun. After I pulled all of that off, then it comes time to really do the fun part, which is the weathering. So I really do enjoy weathering the most. This time, you know, it's almost like art. So I'm just taking some silver paint and I'm dry brushing it along all the edges and all the parts and pieces that the paint would have rubbed off over the years. And this really does a trick in kind of turning what is a flat black piece of something into something that looks realistic. It really adds the detail to it. And to me, this is, other than the pulling off of tape, when you've got something taped and you paint it and you remove that tape perfectly, that's a really wonderful moment. Other than that, the weathering part really is my favorite part. I love coming through and just adding these little details. And the great thing about it is, you know, you can't ever really overdo it. If you paint too much on there, you just simply come back and paint back over it with black or whatever color is there originally. So it's very, very simple to fix those mistakes. I also came back through here and painted the inside of the barrel with some black, because it was never painted, because that's kind of how I was holding it up there when I was spray painting it. So I came through and painted some areas black as well while I was doing this whole thing. This is probably the longest portion of it for me, but it, you know, really is the most enjoyable for me. So I don't mind taking that time. And then here, I'm also taking the time to paint the gold, bronze gold onto the trigger, because the trigger is a gold color. So then, this is a new process for me. I then decided to treat the entire thing, well, all of the metal, with a graphite powder rub. And I really dig the way that this turned out. You know, this takes what was already looking really good and really turns it into looking like real metal. And I've got a comparison shot here of this next to the one that's not done. And I mean, you can tell it's just really cool. So after that, sealed it with a clear coat, and then it's time for a basically a black acrylic wash. So I water down some black acrylic paint and then just paint over the entire thing, and then you dab it all off, wipe it all off with a paper towel. You want to do this step over steps and steps and steps and steps. And, you know, I probably spent about 30 minutes doing this, just going from one gun to the next, and, you know, went through about half a roll of paper towels while I was doing it. So you do this and it kind of adds what it looks like the years of accumulated dirt, and really makes the finished piece just look really, really good. And that's the process. And this is what you end up with. Actually, now that I look at it again, I think I'm going to go back and add some more of the weathering, the silver brushed weathering, because when I did the black wash over it, it did take that back a little bit. So I'm probably going to add a little bit onto this. And again, I'm going to send one of these, not sure which one. I got to wait till I get the full costume done, and I'll compare these in full costume and see which one I think is the right size. But I really feel like it's going to be this one. There's a lot of the shots, and when he's shooting it, he's kind of got his pinky hanging off of it like that. But I really feel like this is the right size gun. but we'll see. So Elvis, you've got one of these coming your way. I hope you'll love it as much as I loved creating it and finishing it. So that's the process. It's not hard, guys. You know, it's a really fun project to do, and I would actually absolutely recommend anybody. You know, if you wanted, you don't have to have a 3D printer. Buy a 3D print off of something and give it a shot. You can't mess this up, because if you mess it up, there's always a way to fix what you mess up. Trust me. It'll just take a little bit longer to finish. So that is the finished Mandalorian pistol. So where do we go from here for the Mando build? Well, the reason you don't see the Mando behind me is because I am currently in the process of painting the Beskar armor. It's going to take me probably a week and a half to get it all done, because there's going to be a lot of repeating the process, smoothing, sanding, priming, smoothing, sanding, priming, and taking that sandpaper up a level each time. But I'm going to probably go all the way up to an 800, maybe a 1500, and do some wet sanding on this, because I want it to have that beautiful chrome finish. So I've got that to do. Some pieces that I've finished, which I really do dig right now. So this is the knee armor. I got that done, all weathered and painted. I just think that turned out really well. The hip tassets, also that same blue. And again, these are weathered. And I've got those completed. And then I've got the Shore Trooper leg greave is done as well. I've got the leather pieces on here, and I'm going to work on that tonight as well, getting that attached. So basically, all of the bottom armor is complete, and now I'm just working on the Beskar. And man, I'm really, really excited. Hopefully, within a week, 2 weeks, I'll be able to reveal this thing to you guys. And this is the way. So I hope you have enjoyed this one today. Again, Elvis, thank you so much for printing this out for me. I really do appreciate it. He did another print for me too for the last piece of this that, again, I'll show you guys a little later on in another video. But it's another weapon of the Mandalorian. Not the Beskar spear, not the Ambin pulse rifle. So the other weapon. So anyway, he's taking care of that for me as well, and I do appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you guys keep watching this build, because it's coming really, really close to being finished. I'll only have a couple more videos on here, and then I will be revealing my full Din Djarin Beskar Mandalorian. If you enjoyed that, guys, please give me a like, give me a subscription, hit that notification bell. As always, I am Darth Rage. This is Darth Rage Reviews, your source for the Force.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.